Hi, my name's Tom Saffel, and I'm your host today for the first in a new series from 30A Vet called Ask the Vet. This is Max, and we've got a big question because we've been traveling a lot, but we want to start traveling with Max. So we need to figure out what it is that exactly we need to take with us when we travel to make sure that Max is healthy and we've got everything we need in case of an emergency.
So the first thing I was thinking is that you want to make sure that your dog is properly vaccinated for the region that you're traveling to. One of the things that we don't have around here that is not prevalent is Lyme's disease, but if you were traveling, for instance, to New England or perhaps west in Montana or Texas where it's more prevalent, then you should get Max vaccinated for Lyme's disease. That's a series of vaccinations 3 or 4 weeks apart. You also want to make sure that he's current on all of his vaccinations and that you have proof of that with you. You need to think about is making sure that they're on the proper prevention for where you're traveling to. Now, we are in a place where fleas and ticks are a pretty big deal. So all of my patients are basically on an excellent flea and tick prevention. NexGard right now is my favorite product for most of my patients. It works really, really well. Heartworm prevention that prevents all the intestinal parasites and prevents heartworms is really important. Another thing that I see, because we are a destination location here on the coast, is that people don't realize that their pets don't travel well. Separation anxiety in a new location, and so their pet is freaked out in the car the way down. You know, it's like an 8-hour trip of them just like panting and scrambling and drooling and whatever. So they have that to deal with, and then when they get here they find that they can't leave the animal in the house by itself because it's scared, terrified to be away from them in this new location where it's not familiar.
I've always heard that, especially in an RV, that you should always take the dog cage with you because that's something very comfortable. He's very familiar with it. It's his home, so you always want to make sure that you have the dog's cage with you.
Yeah, absolutely take the crate with you. And then if you're traveling with the cats, you may want to find like a collapsible cat carrier that can stow easily so that if you did have to take them to the vet, you've got something usable to be able to safely contain them, but that's not taking up a lot of room in your camper.
Should we make sure that we have? I'm assuming we're going to have our own personal first aid kit, so that we probably need to also create a pet kit.
Collapsible bowl, so that when you are going for long walks, probably want to either put a pack on the dog or have a pack that you can carry where you have a collapsible bowl and lots of water for him to drink. When you're putting your first aid kit together, the basics that I really like are Benadryl. This is a very safe product to use in dogs, and you're mainly using it in situations where if they were to get stung by a bee, come up with, might work for some rashes and stuff, but it's mainly like insect bites and being stung by a bee. And it can't hurt. Most dogs, it's not going to do any problems with them. But things like Benadryl spray and cortisone sprays or cortisone gel would be my preference. A lot of people go straight for antibiotic ointment. Neosporin, I think, is most people's go-to, but I don't like putting ointments on pets because it tends to trap the moisture in there and it sticks in the fur and it's greasy. It's petroleum-based, so it gets all over the carpet. The nice thing about the sprays is that they're either water-based or they're alcohol-based, so you can put them on the area as long as you're careful not to get it in their eyes, and then take them for a quick walk and it's going to dry on them and it's not going to trap moisture. I think you should travel with an e-collar. I mean, as much as we hate the cone of shame, it can come in really handy. So if you're out for a walk and Max were to get a little cut or something on his foot and then all he wants to do is sit there and lick it, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. He's going to get it infected. You can't put trauma of a tongue and spit on a cut over and over and over again and expect it to heal. So if something were to happen, at least you've got a collar, and that's something that you can unpeel and it's flat and you can stow easily as well. Something major were to happen and you're not near the vet, at least you can clean the area. Betadine solution is another thing that'll be on the list, and by the way, we'll have this list as a downloadable PDF for this as part of this video. So betadine solution or scrub you can travel with, and if you get a cut or something that you need to cleanse, then you can cleanse it, wash it, dry it, wrap it, put on the e-collar. The body wants to heal. Another thing I was thinking about, if you know where you're going, then you may want to look ahead to see what your emergency options are and have that information printed out just in case you're in a situation where you don't have cell coverage. then you've got phone numbers and maybe the availability of the vets that are around the area where you
Cool idea.
where you're headed.
But of course, we all know Max is microchipped.
He is, and he came from a shelter. You know, a lot of people want to wait to microchip their pets until their pet is under anesthesia for like a spay or a neuter, because in their mind they think it's a really big deal. But it's actually not much different from getting a vaccine. So a shot is a shot is a shot. So getting an injection is not a big deal. We do it awake on little tiny kittens, puppies at any age. And registering that microchip before you travel is going to be very important. This one my staff came up with this one, poop bags. Lots and lots and lots of poop bags.
Absolutely.
We want to be a good neighbor. We never want to leave feces out. We wish that nobody would. Of course, I love these little dispensers that you can hook to the leash, and they have the little rolls in there, and that way you don't have to worry about remembering to have them with you. So, you know, buying several rolls of those and having them with you whenever you travel. Probably, since you guys are going to have an RV and the car, you might want to put some of the stuff in both places, right? That might be part of your question. Are you going to make 2 kits? One for the car when you guys leave the camper, and one that's in the camper. Microchipped, and even though they're wearing their current rabies tag and they have their information and everything on there, I also like to stitch my phone number into the collar, because sometimes the S-hook or the coil gets hung on something and the tags will end up falling off, but the collar stays on. So having your phone number stitched onto the collar is just one more backup. Sometimes people forget about microchips, so they don't know to scan. My pets actually wear their microchip number as well, so they actually have 3 tags when they go out: their name and phone number, the rabies, we'll see, the beach tag permit, and the microchip thing on there, so that if they were to get lost, you know, somebody, you know, even if half the tags fell off, at least somebody would think to microchip. But having that number stitched in there, if everything falls off, then at least they've got a phone number stitched. Or some people will actually take the collar off and they'll write with a Sharpie on the inside the phone number if they don't want to do the stitching.
Excellent. Well, we'll be on the road soon.
All right, it sounds like you're well prepared. Are you excited?
He never gets
Are
excited.
you excited?
Oh, we're excited.
Good. Well, thank you for bravely being the first host of Ask the Vet.
Hey,
I appreciate
my
it.
pleasure.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.